It's time to hack the movies. Today, we're talking about tapes with Tony and Newt and this other person.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking About Tapes. I'm Tony from Hack the Movies, here with Newt.
Hi.
And film legend, Fred Olen Ray. Hello, Fred.
Hello, Tony.
I'm sure we all know, but for those of you who don't, Fred, can you introduce yourself a little bit? What movies have you done?
You know, I've done a little bit of everything, and I used to say the only thing I hadn't done is light romantic comedy, but I've now done that as well.
Oh, nice, yes.
But a lot of people who rent VHS tapes probably remember most of the shows we did, like Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
It's a good one.
Evil Tunes, the Tomb, Haunting Fear.
Tomb with Cameron Mitchell.
Evil Spawn, you know, and a bunch of shoot 'em ups with David Carradine and Lee Van Cleef, Telly Savalas.
And
like
I
that.
talked to you before. I've mentioned it several times now. You made one of my favorite films, Bikini Airways. 13-year-old Tony thanks you for the late night Cinemax Showtime. I really was invested in the story and the characters. I wanted that airline to succeed at the end. I wanted the main actress to succeed.
Well, you believe in strong women going
because I watched your movies. I believe in strong female characters.
Well, it was a message film for sure.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
It actually doesn't objectify women.
I know.
No, it doesn't. It promotes them as entrepreneurial.
And I was very invested in her story of honoring her uncle, Hugh Janus. She wanted to make Hugh Janus proud.
Absolutely.
Yes, but today, as much as I would love to talk about Bikini Airways all day long, we decided, we mention Alien 3 a lot. Mm-hmm. We're not doing Alien 3 today, but we were thinking of doing underrated Alien movies as a kind of way to ease our way into that review. And we each brought in a pick. I will start with mine. Yeah. I brought in Alien Resurrection.
Yes.
I don't think this movie's that bad. And a lot of people really don't like it, but and I didn't like it at first. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, this is just a weird French movie that has the Alien brand attached to it. And when you go with that mindset, you're like, this movie's too stupid to hate. I really enjoyed it.
He did City of Lost Children before that.
City of Lost Children's really great. Delicatessen, I think he did.
Mm-hmm. And then Pitoff went on to do Catwoman.
Yes, the cinematographer went on to do Catwoman, the Halle Berry Catwoman.
Yeah.
Very, very underrated film. The CGI is bad, but the practical effects are some of the best in the series.
And a great basketball scene.
A great basketball scene, which prepared Pitoff for Halle Berry's Catwoman, obviously. Fred, what did you think about the basketball scene in Halle Berry's Catwoman?
You know, I never saw it.
Well, what did you think about the basketball scene in Alien Resurrection?
I never saw Alien Resurrection. You know, I'm always a believer in quitting while I'm ahead.
Oh, okay.
And I stopped watching after the second movie of Aliens. There you go.
Well, obviously he's not coming back for Alien 3 unless he sees it and really loves
and it's
it.
like, I gotta go back to Pennsylvania to hang out with those two talented assholes. But
no, it's a fun movie. I like how the aliens ruin Ripley's life, and the only way for her to come back to life is to also be part alien. I thought that was pretty cool. The newborn alien at the end, I used to hate. Now I love it. I have an action figure of it.
Kieran and I were like, why does he have this?
Fun fact, that alien had female and male genitalia, and they had to spend thousands of dollars digitally deleting it from the animatronic, because even the director was like, it's too much for a Frenchman. And Fox was like, you did what? Oh my God. So all the wide shots, they had to smooth it out. Anyway, that is my pick for underrated alien movies. Newt, what did you pick?
I picked a weird one. I'm working on Monster Madness for James.
Yes.
And I watched a Mexican film called Ship of Monsters from 1960, which I have fallen in love with. It is a sci-fi horror musical comedy about two women from Venus who are going around the galaxy collecting monsters because there's no men, so they're collecting men from all the other planets. And all of the monsters look like things I would have drawn when I was 6 years old, and they're amazing.
Fred, are you familiar with this film?
Actually, I am.
Hey!
Actually, I am familiar.
Okay, I've never actually seen it.
I love this movie. I have fallen in love with this movie. So there's a singing...
When did it come out?
1960.
Okay.
And I think the only way you can get it, Lionsgate put out a non-dubbed version, and that's the one I got. So a friend of mine dubbed it for me. So that's the way...
Wait, did he get the dub from some other source?
No, he speaks Spanish. He did the thing for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he just recorded himself.
Yeah.
Doing every character's line.
Yes.
Okay.
But when he did the ladies' voices, he did it real sexy too.
That's almost as dumb as digitally inserting yourself into Night of the Living
Yeah, so
Dead.
he made he put himself in Night of the Living Dead.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
It's legendary.
Fred, listen. Some people said that some parts of that movie were one of the best zombie movies they've ever seen.
I would agree.
And it's my movie. I did it with George Romero. I mean, we co-directed it, I feel like. He did his scenes earlier, and then I did my scenes later.
If I sent you a DVD, could you sign it? And then,
I will sign
and then pay to have it sent back to me?
Yeah.
We got yelled at dinner tonight, so
Oh, yeah, by the way, guys. We got
I like how we have our guest here and we get yelled at work.
I'm just glad you guys didn't get fired.
Yeah.
It would have ruined my lunch.
So it's like, are we still
All right,
going
Fred,
to
we're
the-
fired. Let's go back into Yeah, if you send us DVDs now, you have to include, for everyone, has to include return shipping.
Yeah.
Because you people are all crazy, and I didn't think all of you would do it. I thought 5 people at the most would do it.
But yeah, so in this movie, there's a Mexican singing cowboy, and he's the hero of the movie. And then there's a robot who falls in love with a jukebox. And then out of nowhere, one of the Venus women is a vampire.
That's a twist.
Yeah.
Is this the movie that has, it's like Mexican, but it's got like a ripoff of the creature from the Black Lagoon and
Looking creature,
and
yeah.
like the invasion of the saucer
Yep.
men. They're like rip-off Mexican versions of well-known American
It's amazing.
monsters.
I love Invasion of the Saucermen
Yeah.
because the twist is that they're sauced, they're drunk, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that is the funniest goddamn twist.
So that's the one that I picked because I was like, it's super underrated. I wish people saw it
Yeah.
because it's just so bananas that it's worth checking out.
So, Fred, what's your underrated alien movie pick?
Boy, it'd be a tough one because I've made a lot of them, but I would probably say the most underrated alien movie that I was involved in was a movie called Alienator.
Wow,
Alienator.
that just so happened to be the movie we told you to say so we could talk about Alienator.
What a coincidence.
How'd I do?
I wrote 3 pages of notes on Alienator.
The kid stays in the picture.
There you go.
So I tell my quick Alienator story,
Okay.
and this kind of ties into everything. And this is, I met Fred for the first time in person at the AFM 2 years ago. Fred had liked Midnight Show posters that I had done, so hired my artist to do some work for him.
Did you like the Gorilla poster for Midnight Show?
I remember it.
Yeah.
I
he
directed
directed
that one.
that.
And I won an award for it. I never got the physical award, but I am an award-winning filmmaker. Just want you to know that.
He's also a hand model.
Yes.
Okay.
And an international male model for a Swiss cigarette company that one time. But anyway, continue.
We really shouldn't trust the Swiss, is what we're getting at. So when in 1990, when I was a kid, we were at a sleepover, and I sent my friend's dad. We told him we wanted to see Predator, and he came back with Alienator.
I think you lucked out.
I
Even
wound
better.
up because I was like, oh wait, the guy from Day of the Dead is in this. Oh, and the lady from
Halloween.
Halloween is in, and the guy from Airwolf is in this. And that was when I started to put together like B movie stuff, and that's when I fell in love with this crap. So as we were saying, it didn't.
Quality.
No, but I mean, I'm not talking about
Can you
Fred's
believe
movies.
this guy?
I'm talking about all of it mashed together.
Oh, okay. Okay.
See, now I don't feel so bad about you guys getting dressed down at dinner. I was feeling pretty bad for you.
I have a
coming out of
scalps
there, but,
poster framed in my domicile.
That's not going to get you anywhere. That don't get you nothing.
But it was that movie that introduced me to psychotronic and all this kind of stuff. So then I started getting more invested in B movies because at that point there was like Godzilla movies that were on TV, and there was the Roger Corman movies, but there wasn't this 80s and early 90s style. So that movie was my gateway into all the things that I do now. So that's why I wanted to talk about Alienator.
And I just want to talk about it because I love Alienator.
Yeah.
I just really love Alienator.
You're the one.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this wonderful film. And what an honor to do it with the director of the film. We've never done this before.
No, I mean, I made...
Fred, we're breaking new ground. You're here with us.
Just digging that hole, you know?
One day, I hope this opens the door. We'll have Spielberg on here. We'll have
Lucas,
Stanley Kubrick's daughter. Maybe she could tell us some stuff.
a Brian De Palma lookalike. You never know.
Anyway, we open up with a great opening score that sets the mood. Mm-hmm. Do you remember how the Alienator theme goes?
I do.
Da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. And then it plays for a while. Man. I love it.
That's not even the right score. They threw away Chuck Serino's original score.
Oh, did they?
Really?
And brought in someone else, and that's what they turned.
Is that from another movie or?
No, it was done.
okay.
It was done for the show, but they had actually taken Chuck's original score off the film. And
How did that one sound?
It was much better. I used it in a movie called The Alien Within.
I gotta see that now.
And that's the original score from Alienator.
Why'd they do that though?
You know what? I couldn't get to the bottom of it. It was a brain trust for sure.
It's kind of like Alien H2O. John Ottman did the score. Not Alien H2O. That's not a movie. Halloween H2O.
It could be. Fred, do you want to make Alien H2O?
I already did, I think, yeah.
We told Fred at dinner also, we're like, if you need anyone to be in any of your Christmas movies, we will do it. And I do Full Frontal, so
Halloween H2O, John Ottman, who does like a lot of Bryan Singer movie stuff, he did the score for that, and then they were like, no. So they got the guy who did Scream, and that's why Halloween H2O just has parts of Scream soundtrack in it. It's real bizarre. So it seemed like it's a similar story to that.
Very similar.
Well, how did this movie come to be in the first place?
Yeah, where did you get the idea of a futuristic cyborg monster hunting people?
I always loved the Astounding She-Monster.
Okay.
And I wanted a producer came in. He wanted to make something. He wanted to make it cheap, and I always wanted to do that. So I said, let's give it a shot because we could do it in the woods with a few people, do it very quickly, and we did. And the whole film was self-contained. It was just what happened in the woods. Okay. And then we shopped it around, and we found a company who would pay us mucho bucks if we would add Jan Michael Vincent and some stuff, in outer space to the story as it was. And so we brought in Robert Clark, the star of Astounding She-Monster. And we put him in the movie, and we shot at an electrical power plant for a couple days and shot all the Jan
I have
Michael,
a note about that.
all the stuff with PJ Souls, and all of that was added to the film. And it's really almost two separate movies.
Yeah.
Because we spent more on those 2 days
than you did on the rest
than
of the
we had done on the original film.
Who picked PJ Souls' shirt, though?
Yeah, I really love, guys, the costume design in this movie is amazing. So PJ Souls has 2 holes in her dress, but then she's blocking her cleavage. So it's like she's classy, but still wants to show some skin.
It's the future.
It's the future. It's in space.
In future.
Yes, it's the present.
It's the present. Yes.
In space.
You're not going to get one by me. I have him backing me up here, you asshole.
I just wanted you to get it wrong and be like, what the? He's
Fun
the
fact
host?
about PJ Souls, my best friend. The reason we became friends because in 2nd grade I was talking to a girl about Halloween, and then that's how I realized that other kids in 2nd grade were not watching movies like Halloween because she was freaked out the whole time. But I told her about the part where PJ Souls got choked with the phone cord, and then I hear this kid go like, "I saw that movie," and we've been friends ever since because of PJ Souls. And then we got to meet PJ Souls years later. We took a picture with her. She was very nice. How was she to work
PJ
with?
was Ross Hagen's next door neighbor.
Yeah.
And we all had Thanksgiving dinner together every year. Russ Tamblyn, Ross, Nancy Kwan, all of us would get together and have dinner. PJ lives in Ross's house now. When Ross passed away, PJ bought his house, and she lives in that house today. So it was all very incestuous. Ross, Hoke, Fox Harris, PJ, and they were all part of our film family.
Okay.
And there was no casting. You picked up the phone and said, "Hey, do you want to do this film? It works in a week or whatever it is." And they say, "Yeah, we'll do it." And so there were no casting sessions for that film. We just called people up that we knew and just hired them.
That's kind of how we do it too, but without any money.
We didn't have a lot, but it was a union show.
Yeah.
Originally, Patrick Wayne was cast in the John Philip Law role.
Oh, really?
The guy from Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, John Wayne's son. But he didn't end up doing it, and John Philip Law came in and took over that role.
That's awesome.
Yes. Let's get into this movie. There's an opening crawl. I love opening crawls in films. This one is in a far-off corner of the galaxy. A well-armed rebel battalion ambushes the armies of the great tyrant Baal. Now, this is very influential because the bad guy in season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead was Baal. Do you think Sam Raimi ripped off this movie? Do you think he saw that name and was like, "I need that name"?
That wasn't part of the film we made. Somebody added that later.
Oh.
Got nothing to do with us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can't answer the next one because they talk about a massacre. And then it said, Today, on a dark prison planet where no man has ever escaped, the commending executioner prepares to send his prisoners straight to hell. And I had a question, is hell the name of a planet, or is this the literal hell? And if that's the case, does this prove the existence of Jesus? And if that's the case, how do aliens fit into God's plan? But apparently, you had nothing to do with the Krull, so I guess you can't answer that question.
The real question is, how did I find myself here?
Well, on a long enough timeline, we all wind up here. It's real sobering, isn't it, Fred?
I think hell is in North Wales, Pennsylvania. I think I was trying to cut to the chase because, like I said, it wasn't part of the original film. And since we had an opportunity, because Ross comes to this planet and he's being chased by someone, they thought, well, here's a good way to get some more sci-fi in there, show what happened to this guy, show how this guy got
But
out
as
of
I said to you earlier, hell exists in the Star Wars universe because Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back says, then I'll see you in hell.
And I have the Star Wars encyclopedia somewhere. We'll look it up afterwards. So Jay Richardson, pilot from Bikini Airways. He didn't get past me. I'm like, I know him.
How about the co-pilot from Bikini Airways, Dan Golden? He gets executed in Alienator.
Yeah, he's the guy who gets executed. This is what I'm keeping the seat warm for you, Cole. That was awesome. Speaking of executions, so they talk about how he's going to get disintegrated. I'm like, okay, cool. Sci-fi, cool. But then they're like, I wish we could hang you with ropes or put you in the gas chamber. And I'm like, oh, so in space, they're still using ropes and gas chambers?
You know?
The old ways.
I didn't write this. I didn't write this, guys. I just showed up.
And here's the thing. We poke fun, but it's out of love because I genuinely have seen this movie so many fucking times. I can't even.
Joe Pilato's in the movie, who I believe, yes, I have his autograph right here from Day of the Dead. Love Joe Pilato. Was not I haven't seen this in a while, and I'm like, oh yeah, Joe Pilato, he is in this. And then a wizard shows up. What was he again? Why was he there?
He was he was there to.
He's not a wizard, but he looks kind of like a wizard.
He looks kind of like
is
a wizard.
that Robert Clark?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he turns out to supposedly be Ross's father.
Yeah.
Who's there to witness the execution.
Yeah,
and
but
he has a lightsaber.
But he wants to actually stop the execution.
Yeah, but he's like there to monitor. But all he does is just tell people not to do their jobs. And at no point someone just goes, what is that guy's deal?
It's like if Fred comes in and goes, oh, we're gonna do this and this, and we're like, well, no, we have to do other things here. That guy keeps telling the owner of the company to take the trash out. I don't know what's going on.
So in the futuristic prison, I'm sorry, the sci-fi prison, because it's not futuristic.
Yeah.
They don't know what handcuffs are, so Cole gets away. He beats up the prisoners and he gets away, and he runs around. What was it? The electric factory?
It was a power plant.
Okay.
Yes. And I thought it looked spacey. What did you think?
I thought it looked cool.
It looked better than Space Mutiny.
It looked way better than Space Mutiny.
Have you seen Space Mutiny? Space Mutiny?
No, I'm afraid not.
Yeah.
Well, Cameron Clark's in it. He looks like Santa Claus.
Cameron Mitchell.
Cameron Mitchell, not
Cameron
Cameron
Mitchell.
Clark.
He looks like Santa Claus.
Oh, Cameron Clark's a guy on the internet who hates me. Cameron Mitchell's in it.
And they filmed in an electric factory, but they also didn't bother to black out any of the windows.
No, what they did, apparently, they put orange filters on the windows. But the people who were coloring the film didn't know, so they thought it was a mistake. So then they color corrected it to look normal. So
they're in outer
it just
space.
Looks like they're in a factory. And they're like, we're on the spaceship. It's like, no, you're not. This looks a lot better.
Yes.
And we get some good railing kills.
Yes.
How fun is it? I've never filmed a railing kill. How fun is it to film a guy getting knocked off a railing?
The guys, if you watch the film again, which you probably will after
A million
this,
times. I will never stop watching.
the pyro guy was in a hurry. He was leaving town to go on another job, and they were very sloppy. And if you watch it, there's a lot of injuries on camera.
Oh, no.
One guy gets shot, and he falls on the ground on his back, and you can see that his kerchief is on fire.
Oh, Jesus.
And then there's another guy running by, and the spark hit goes off of a metal beam in front of him, and it hits the guy in the eye. And you see the guy take the dive.
No.
And you see a guy fall backwards from the rails as he's set on fire, and he's got about a half a dozen burned holes in his uniform. And this guy literally burned and injured at least 6 of my guys in his haste to get out of there that day. And then later, to my great satisfaction, he blew himself up in his truck.
No!
The next time we saw him, his arms were all wrapped in gauze. His arms were wrapped in gauze. And
Oh,
his
he
hair-
lived.
He lived.
Okay, I was like, oh shit, we're living in it.
He blew up the pyro van that had all the gunpowder in it with himself inside. And I thought, that'll teach you to slow down.
This is for Alienator.
That's...
What,
Yeah.
what about the guy when Tegan shoots him with the laser and he's on full fire? Now that you say that, I'm like, is he okay? Like,
No, that's a fire burn.
Yeah.
That's pretty common stuff.
So
He
at
was
one
all right.
point, Cole gets cornered, and then he throws slugs on a guy's face.
that shot's awesome, though.
And I think it looks on par with Star Trek 2, the Wrath of Khan slug. Where did the slugs come from?
The guy who produced the movie, Jeffrey Hogue, wanted to be in the movie, and that's him.
Okay.
Oh,
And he was insisting on doing this, and I said, well, if you're going to do this, I said, guys, give him something special.
yeah.
And so they put him into this heavy-duty appliance with these things that crawled up his face, with the idea that's how I think Ross escaped.
Yeah.
Okay.
By overpowering this guard and putting a bag of face-eating slugs.
I like that there's
on
paper
him.
bags still in outer space. But
Yeah.
this is the least. This is the guard who doesn't hear the guy coming up behind him in the winter jacket, and he's just looking around. And I was like, well, that has to be somebody then, because he's getting so much screen time. So now that you say that, it makes sense. But when they're going into his face, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
And we also get a miniature of the spaceship. Who did the effects on that?
You know, I'm not sure. I remember the model because I had it for a while.
Oh, cool.
And it was, I believe it was a space shuttle model kit that had been turned around and reversed. The pieces were backwards
Oh,
to each
okay.
other. But I didn't like the effects. It wasn't our normal guy. Normal guy is Bart or Brett Mixon, the
Okay.
twin brother of the makeup effects artist
Okay.
who did it.
Yeah.
Bart Mixon. But the guy who did this, again, it was done on the cheap by the people who were buying it from us. And there was a lot of negative things. I think they drop an electric net on her at one point. You can see where you
yeah.
can see where they've joined the electrical arcs together in the middle to duplicate the animation. It was very poorly done, in my opinion.
I don't know. I thought that was just how that piece of technology
Yeah,
works.
we don't know how this
We don't know
alien
how
technology works.
Sci-fi technology works.
I didn't like
You're
it.
not giving yourself enough credit. I thought it was perfectly fine. It raises questions. How
Yeah.
did the electricity go like that?
Yeah.
Well, the spaceship model, I've seen worse. In college, I did like a little sci-fi thing, and my spaceship was an old camera that no one was using anymore, with a basketball rim in it covered in tinfoil.
It was very tiny. It wasn't much longer than that box cover.
Really? Oh,
really?
It was only about that big, so it was hard to get. It's hard to get a close shot in focus when something's that small. You know what I mean? Because one piece of it continually wants to be out of focus.
Trust me.
And
Tony
in a
knows.
big giant, in a big giant ship or something, everything would be sharp.
Yeah.
Look, and you know what? At least you made a model, because getting back to Space Mutiny, they recycled footage from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Like, one of the producers was on Battlestar Galactica, and they're like, because that always bothered me about that movie. Like, why do the miniatures look so good? I'm like, oh, they just took it from
Well,
somewhere
Roger
else.
Corman did that too. He would just recycle a lot of his Star Wars stuff, you know?
Then we meet our human characters. Now, where was this filmed?
This was filmed in an area called Kelly's Gulch, off of Topanga Canyon Boulevard. It's a location that Dave Friedman and them used to use for these roughy, nudie westerns,
Okay.
like Ramrod
Yeah.
and things like that.
Oh, yes. Ramrod.
That's what they
Yeah.
called me in high school.
Yeah, that's where they used to shoot these sort of nudie westerns.
I couldn't
It was a little place.
I
down
couldn't
there.
pinpoint the accents. And also, maybe it was just I watched a VHS copy of this. They sounded like they were all slurring like they were drunk, but I assume that was just the poor quality.
Hey, Rick, how much further we got to go?
Half hour, I guess, maybe more. We'd be there by now if it wasn't for this damn road.
You want me to drive for a while?
I'll yell if I need ya.
Okay.
You know, I don't know in Hoke's case. So I caught him drinking on the shooter. And it was not a great script. It was an adequate script, and and the guys were out there. 6
Great
days. 6 days is not a lot of time to make a movie. And you're out there and you're filming at night. And if you're filming at night, it's a lot different than filming outside in the daytime, where you're not having to put a light and run a generator and run cables in the dark.
I know all too
And,
well.
and we were fogging things too. So
Yeah.
you fog it, and if you're not ready to turn the camera on, the fog blows away quickly. Then you have to fog it all over again, start all over again.
How many times in Midnight Show did we have to deal with that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for six days, I felt like it worked out okay.
And again, to your credit, because we've covered some movies on here that decided to do day for night. And by that, I mean they put a blue filter and you can see the sun in the sky and like all the clouds and birds flying. They're like, yeah, it's 3 a.m. It's like, no, it is not.
The Italian Jaws movie.
Yeah, Jaws 5, Cruel Jaws. I was just like, I thought there was something wrong with the movie. I'm like, oh no, they want us to think this is nighttime when it is clearly not nighttime.
There's kids coming out of school. They're like, oh, it's midnight.
Like, it's bright blue. Yeah, so these kids are driving. One of them's driving drunk, and they see the spaceship crash. And then Cole comes out, and he's having an asthma attack.
Yeah.
But really, I think his collar is like choking him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also a tracking device.
Yes.
But as we soon
so
learn.
the Alienator can find him.
Yeah, and then we meet more characters. So many characters in this movie, which is the sign of a good movie. Always have a lot of characters. We find the 2 guys that are trying to steal...
The poachers, yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to steal animals that are caught on the game preserve. And then the what you call it, the warden, was that his name? He's like, no, you're not allowed to steal these. These are state-owned. You go find your animals over there. And they're like, we have shitty animals over here. And you know what? I'm on their side. How dare the government steal all the good animals and keep them for themselves and put down the little guy? Thank you. Because of your movie, it really helped me figure out my political leanings, and I blame you for that.
Well, my family is from West Virginia.
Yeah. They remind me of the 2 poachers from Pod People.
Yes.
A little bit, you know.
Yes, but I was like, I watched Alienator. I'm like, well, I'm libertarian now.
Your parents are like, oh no.
And Cole warns everyone that death is coming. He's I also like his outfit.
Yeah.
Is he like?
So
Did he have makeup on his face?
Making potholders.
Wait, what was
the
that?
outfit was made from potholders.
Oh, from potholders?
Kitchen potholders painted silver.
Oh, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's from that Jill, the girl who did the makeup
Yeah.
effects for Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Okay.
The wardrobe. She made the wardrobe
Yeah.
for that.
So she did the Alienator suit too?
No, that was an effects guy. They made that out of Sapporo beer bottles.
Yeah.
You know, the bottoms of the Sapporo beer.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, that's what the breasts
Oh,
were
that's
made
cool.
from.
That's amazing.
But yeah, no, his face, like, because again, I was watching a really bad VHS copy. Is his face like green? Like, what's going on with his face? It looked like he had some kind of
He
makeup
had some
on.
kind of dark around the eyes, as
Yeah.
I recall. I don't remember. Probably dirty. Probably was rubbed dirt on his face. I don't know.
Again, they had to make it in 6 days.
Yeah, so then the space prison warden blames PJ Souls for everything, and then you find out that they used to date, and he's mad that she doesn't date him. And then the space wizard comes in, and he's just like, what's going on here? And he's like, don't stop. And I was like, what's this scene? So, Fred, what's that scene all about?
You know, I think it's about adding 25 minutes to a 6-day movie.
So you added the beginning of a romantic subplot.
Yeah, so whoever they had to keep coming. You have to, in order to keep it together, you have to keep cutting back. And there wasn't anything they could be doing because they'd already sent this girl after him.
Yeah.
So you had to have some kind of subplot so that you could keep revisiting
Yeah.
Jan Michael Vincent because the
That's what they wanted.
task was that we would weave him through
Yeah.
the film. So we had 2 days, and in those 2 days we were to shoot as much stuff as we could.
I do
to,
like the whole, like, I hate you for getting a new boyfriend. That's why you let the prisoner out. And she's like, what are you talking about?
Can I go to a different ship?
Like, how did you connect those dots, man?
Do you know what though? I thought Jan did a pretty nice job because his career was definitely
Yeah.
No, I thought he's good in this.
he was at a point right there where a lot of people didn't want to hire him, and I felt like he came in and gave it his best. He gave it his best shot. You know what I mean?
I thought he was good.
He looked good,
Yeah.
and his performance was good. And
I like how he's kind of the bad guy for the first half of this movie, and he does a really good job,
Yeah.
especially in a scene like this where he's like, how dare you have a boyfriend? But yes, the Alienator shows up, and it is a strong female character.
So where did Tegan come from?
Yes.
Tegan was a bodybuilder, and she had a nutritional column in Muscle and Fitness magazine. And Jeff had seen her photos in a ripped state, which they only maintained for a very short period of time because it's really hard to get to that state.
What's it called? The Rock and Hugh Jackman, for their movies, they dehydrate themselves so their skin gets tighter and shows off their muscles.
Right.
You can't do that every day.
That's what Jeff thought he wanted, and she came in and she was not in that condition. She was still a big muscular girl, but she wasn't in that ripped condition. But she was, as a physical specimen, she was the best person for that part. Since we were trying to do Astounding She-Monster.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
But she's so like that's a memorable figure.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing that you could show somebody for. If you showed somebody a bunch of B-movie characters, you would direct yourself to that. It's like she's wearing like a silver fright wig. She's got like, you know, robot boobs and a Metroid arm cannon, and she's a massive. So that's always something I'm gonna remember. Again, we make, you know, you say you didn't enjoy making this or you don't think it came out that great, but this is now 2021. And we've seen this movie a million times, and I'm going to be thinking about this movie in 20 more years, you know?
Well, I think making her a female, making the tracker robot, whatever it was, I think when we made it was called Huntress. I think that was the name of the film.
Probably would have been a better title. But Alienator's still pretty awesome.
Well, you know what? As much as I didn't agree, I liked making the film and I enjoyed working with all the people.
It looks like it was.
What I didn't really care
where...
is what happened to it, sort of when it was out of our hands later. But I think they made a wise choice in having Tegan play that role, and whatever they did, they made a huge success out of what should have been, you know, a modest little film.
I was going to say, other than the day where everyone got blown up, this does seem like a fun movie to make.
Well, we did a lot of pyro, as you see when John Philip Law starts shooting her. That's at night. It's out in the middle of nowhere. We're trying to run lights and generators and do live pyro on a 6-day movie.
Yeah.
No CGI, no overlays that you bought off Pond 5.
We bought stuff for Pond 5 for the show.
I mean, no, there were no CGI gunfire. I mean, it was blanks. It was gunpowder. It was real pyrotechnics. It was real firepower. You know, and we're filming at night. And that makes you very tired. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning every night. You kind of get to that moment.
Oh, I agree. We shot something one night, and then Newt got a concussion. He was already complaining, and then he's like, "Oh man, everything's so dizzy. I can't go anymore because I got hit in the head with a steel box." I'm like, "Oh my God, cry about. We're all tired, Newt."
That, and then I got permanently scarred from the video that we did where he was supposed to catch me coming down a hill on a skateboard, a child-sized skateboard, and he didn't do it. So I didn't hit the camera, and instead I tore giant chunks of skin off my arm.
Look, much like the pyro guy, I had places to be, and I wasn't doing my own.
That's it. That's what separates them in from the boy.
Yeah.
So the Alienator confronts all the characters at the cabin, and she's making...
Well, confronts the doctor first.
Yeah, the doctor who comes to save the guy, he's like, "I'm a doctor," just murders.
And so what's funny about this movie is after we watched this the first time, when we returned the video, I asked the guy at the video store at B&C Video in Marlton, New Jersey, "What else do you have like this?" And he gave me Night Beast. The Don Dohler movie, because he's like, "Oh, this fucking little idiot likes lasers at night. Here you go, jackass." This is much better than Night Beast.
It's a lot better.
And your movie didn't have J.J. Abrams.
Who would have thought someone from Night Beast would reboot Star Wars and then
ruin Star Wars?
That second part was a little bit more obvious.
Yeah.
So she's making lightsaber sounds the whole time.
Oh, the whole time, yeah.
Yeah. Whose decision was that, Fred?
Is it a sound effect?
Yeah. It's doing the vroom, vroom from the lightsaber from Star Wars.
Well, like I said, the sound and stuff were done by another company, which took Chuck Serino's score off of there.
The ironic part is that later in the movie, there is a saber made of light to be legally distinct, and it doesn't make the lightsaber sound.
Well, he's being smart there.
Yeah, but when the Alienator is just standing, there's the lightsaber sound. I'm like, I think they got confused.
Well, you know, there was a very, very, very famous piece of music. It's from Aliens. It's the cue when the elevator's going up at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And everybody in the Hollywood used to buy that cue. It was for sale, and use it in their trailers. And that's the cue in the Alienator trailer. It's from the movie Aliens.
Yeah, a lot of movies use that. What was it?
Dracula as well.
Dracula, Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
That was used in so many trailers, like Lord of the Rings and stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny when you watch a trailer and you just know what movie it's from.
But that music from the Coppola Dracula, that was in every trailer for 20 years.
Yeah, I like how Cole just tells everyone to kill each other.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys should just kill yourselves now. It's going to be a lot better than getting zapped from that laser gun. They're like, what? No.
Kill each other now. It'll be easier for you all and far less painful. Come on, let's move!
But yeah, and then I love this part. They suggest, they're like, hey, why don't we just give Alienator the guy? And then I'm like, oh yeah. What loyalty do they have to Cole?
Well, they hit him with the car, and what if Alienator doesn't do the thing, and then he sues them?
But they're like, he's a prisoner, he's on the run. And that's when I realized, wait, these are Americans, and they believe in true freedom and due process, and they're going to fight for his right to defend himself. But realistically, if it was us, and a spaceman is like, please help, I'm being hunted, we're like, no. Here you go.
Thanks, muscle lady, bye. We're cowards, Fred. I don't know if you know that or
And
not.
I like how he's lying. He's like, if she'll invade if you don't kill her. They're all gonna come and invade your planet. You gotta keep me alive.
And the little nerdy guy's like, invasion. Oh, we can't have that. And then he should have macked it on those two ladies later.
That nerdy guy was real excited to be there. Was he really excited to be there?
He was a he was a fairly well-known actor.
Really?
Yeah, he had major roles in a movie called Hanoi Hilton.
Okay.
Oh.
He was the guy who memorized all the prisoners' names by doing Old MacDonald Had a Farm, and he knew all the POWs' names. He also played Scotty Moore in the Elvis TV series. And he also was, I think, Marilyn Monroe's love interest in that Marilyn Monroe movie. Anyway, he had quite a career.
Yeah. Wait, which Elvis?
The one with Kurt Russell?
No, it was a series.
Oh, I think I remember that
Okay.
It
one.
was
Yeah.
an Elvis series.
Here we are calling him the nerdy guy in Alienator. It's like, oh yeah, well he was in Hanoi Hilton. What have you done, Tony from Hack the Movies?
I was an uncredited extra in The Dark Knight Rises.
Well, this kid was also in my movie Deep Space, so I knew him already.
Okay.
I like the scene where he's talking about...
He's out of like all the human characters. He's really going for it.
I like his
He's the
whole
best.
scene where he's talking about John Carter. I was like, that's a nice scene. It's a nice little character.
He's like, I was so excited. I wanted to be John Carter. I'm like, Taylor Kitsch was excited to be John Carter.
And look how that
And then the
turned out.
movie bombed. Oops, that movie's actually not that bad.
No, John Carter's not bad because it's like Star Wars did it first. It's like,
But ironically, John Carter did it first, and then Star Wars.
No, I know, that's what I mean. It
Yeah.
was the same thing with Valerian. That movie came out and everybody went, oh, it's like Star Wars. Like, no, they took that
The
from
difference
Star
is that
Wars.
movie did suck.
Well,
so
the
that's
casting was bad in
That's
that
the
movie.
difference.
Rhiannon wasn't bad in that movie.
I don't know. I love the Alienator's gun.
Yeah.
I actually really like that. It's so big and clunky, but I like how she's perfectly still, like shooting it. She does the robot acting really, really well. And then it gets shot.
But it reminds me of like Metroid almost, the video game.
That's the character in that game, Metroid, right? You play as Metroid?
Yeah, you play
the
as
guy,
Metroid.
Metroid,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Have you ever played Metroid?
I've never played a video game in my life.
And you know why, Fred? Because they're for children. And that's what I always say. And I'm glad I have a fellow adult here to back me up. Video games are for children. Except for the ones that Newt produces, you should buy those.
Yeah, Screenwave Media Games.
What Fred meant to say is that he plays Iron Meat all the time
And
in
Eagle
AVGN
Island,
Adventures 1 and 2.
AVGN,
Right.
Sure.
We're just going to add words coming out of his mouth. Like,
Like, yes, I love.
See, I do that, what they call it shooter game, but I
Yeah.
do it with real gun.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Oh, because you're like a cool guy.
Wait a minute.
And we're assholes.
why do I feel like when we go up to the drive-in, Fred's going to be like, run. And we'll be like, why? He's like, oh, so I don't catch you. What happens if we catch you? Oh, don't let me catch you.
I like that the Alienator realizes the deer is not hostile.
Yeah.
And then just pets the deer and hangs out
Where'd
with
the deer come from?
You know, that was a scene that I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and they brought the fawn out because we've had a lot of animals in these films.
Yeah.
and they put peach juice on her fingers, and that's
Oh.
what the fawn was trained
Yeah.
to come and lick the peach juice. And they had a clicker, and so the fawn would eat whatever they laid on the ground. And when you wanted it to look up and come over, they would do this clicker, and then it would come up. And Tegan, who was this very large girl, very powerful, she was so terrified. She said, "It's biting my fingers. It's biting." I said, "No, it's just licking the peach juice. It's biting me." And I said, just hold still, just hold still. It's just licking the peach juice. And after a while, the deer licked it all off and went away. And she was like, oh, she was so relieved. She thought, and I thought, you could have snapped that deer's neck if you really wanted to. And she was just like, what am I going to do? This deer's trying to get me.
I do like this scene, though, because it humanizes the bad guy. And it's a nice little foreshadowing what happens later in the movie. And it's like, oh, because you never saw the Terminator didn't stop to like pet a dog.
No.
The Predator didn't stop to like sing with a bird or something. But here we have the Alienator going like, oh, look at that deer.
Well,
What's up, deer?
Now that the Predator is owned by Disney, you could turn it into a Disney princess. It'll have birds landing on
Disney never got back to our idea of female Predator. They didn't get back to us.
I don't understand why Disney doesn't call us back.
Fred, they never call us back for our ideas. And you've heard some of our ideas. I think you said, Tony, the Christmas parrot is such a good idea.
I'm sure I did.
Yeah. we did give you a couple drinks.
I'm going to, Fred, next Christmas, if I see Christmas parrot on Lifetime, I'm giving you a call.
I'll call you back just like Disney.
Yeah. Kathleen Kennedy and Fred Olen Ray are on the phone.
And everyone will be like, no, clearly you're lying, Tony. Who would ever steal an idea like that? So then they meet up with the Colonel, who's bragging about his AK-47.
The Colonel's the best character in the movie.
By the way, people with AK-47s love to brag about AK-47s. Except for us. We have one in the closet, but it's deactivated. But I knew I had a girlfriend, and she like brought me to her family's house, and I realized they were into some shady stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, man, let me show you my AK-47. And he like pulled it out and was loading it. I'm like, I didn't ask to see it. And he's like, here's how you do this. And then he had like a pit bull with like a shock collar on it the whole time. And it was just growling at me. And I'm like, I want to be literally anywhere else right now.
But where did Grandpa Commie Killer come from? Because he's my favorite character.
I do like that character.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If you don't know who Leo Gordon
Oh no,
is,
I know who he is, but I mean,
you guys shouldn't be sitting in a video store.
How did he get involved in the project?
I'm trying to think of who might have been in. Who auditioned for that was Henry Brandon.
Okay.
From March of the Wooden Soldiers with Laurel and Hardy.
Oh yeah.
But we settled on Leo Gordon because we were just such huge fans of his work.
Yeah.
And I don't remember too much more about where the character came from. It's just the problem is with some of these films as I see them is I call them situation films. They don't have developing plots. You have a setup where you set up a situation and then the cast runs and hides from it for the rest of the movie. And that's a situation film. And in a situation film, it's very, very hard to keep things interesting because there are no new twists and plot developments and things that happen to our characters. And so I try to break it up by moving them from the one cabin instead of it becoming Night of the Living Dead. I try to move them from one cabin to another cabin and to meet this other character and bring in another, element to keep the storyline moving. And
it comes alive
along.
when he's on camera though, because obviously I knew who the actor was. But it's just like I just love this character. Like says things that are just so fantastic.
Oh, he looked out the window. There was a scene where they were waiting. This is some of the silly stuff. There's like one explosive charge out there, and she just happens to step on it. And they're waiting. They're waiting for her to step on this charge. And Leo looks over, and it was we didn't use it, but he looks over to John Favreau and he says about Tegan. He said, "I'd like to bite that in the ass and let it drag me to death." And we went, Leo, you can't say that. He goes, fuck you guys.
You leave that line in, and also leave him saying "fuck you guys," so the audience is like, "Did he say that to us? Did he break the fourth wall?"
He's the original Deadpool. Like,
I also like. He's like, "Oh, that collar's around your neck. Let me take care of that," and he just shoots
it off.
And I'm like, "Where'd the bullet go?"
He's that good.
He's a pretty good badass. And then in space, the warden's like mad. And then that guy is, what was his name again? The wizard?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, maybe you should just let him live. And again, someone should be like, you're clearly the bad guy. Yeah. What are you doing here? Like, can we call whoever sent you? Like, you're clearly like, I don't think you should go to prisons and be like, we should just let them all go.
Let's try that.
Let's try it. We're going to go to prison. Fred, you're coming with us. We're going to go to the local prison. And we're going to be like, hey, we just watched Fred's movie. Let all these prisoners go. And then we can spend the night in jail together.
If we wear wizard robes.
I think you're missing the point. They are letting all the prisoners go now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's that guy who's taking the wheels off your car. He was just arrested yesterday for the same thing. Maybe he knows Robert Clark.
Maybe. So the Alienator can speak. And I like how it's all gibberish and then it like eases into English. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, it's like a universal translator on Star Trek.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But way better than Star Trek.
Oh, of course.
Obviously.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than Star Trek 5 and Star Trek Insurrection and Nemesis.
And
Into Darkness.
Any of the stuff. I liked Into Darkness. Anything that the CW, or that, what's it called? CBS has done.
Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus.
Star Trek Picard. Fred, I would watch your movie 1,000,000 times before I ever watch an episode of Star Trek Picard.
I didn't know there was such a show.
Oh, yeah, they brought him back, but instead of being Picard, he's just being Patrick Stewart, and he's shoehorning like all his like personal
Politics,
stuff into it, and everyone's like, yeah, but this doesn't fit the character, and it's bad.
It's basically like he went, what if we did Brexit in space?
And then at no point did someone say, well, that doesn't make sense for this universe.
And then they turn him into a robot Jesus at the end.
Oh, yeah, Picard is a robot Jesus now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and something about an octopus, I don't know.
But nobody will buy Christmas Parrot, but they'll do that.
Yeah, meanwhile, Christmas Parrot just sits on the shelf.
What if the Christmas
You know
Parrot...
what? You need a catchier title like Christmas Parrot Insurrection.
There we go.
We did it.
So
We cracked the code.
Yeah, something that grabs you. It grabs your attention.
Either Hallmark or Lifetime. Next year, you'll see Christmas Parrot Insurrection.
There you go.
And Patrick Stewart's the voice of the parrot. We cracked the code.
You're in.
So yeah, they throw a net on her, and that beautiful electricity, which I thought looked fine. That looked fine. Oh, I meant to, speaking of sci-fi stuff, earlier in the movie, when Clark was talking to PJ Souls, there's something hovering on top of the lens. And now, I would assume it might have been a boom mic.
Yeah.
But then again, this is a futuristic sci-fi world. Was that some kind of gadget?
I don't remember it.
Oh, okay.
In the VHS shot, there's the boom mic is visible twice. But that's way better than Dolomite, where the boom mic is essentially another character in the movie.
It's way better than most of my show, Mummy Cop. There were boom mics all over Mummy Cop.
Well, what you're missing is that these things were framed for theatrical
Yeah.
release.
Yeah, no, a lot of movies were like that.
And you don't have a monitor. This
Yeah.
was the day of no monitor.
Oh.
So normally you would see the 185 light up window, and then you would see what would be considered Academy safe, which is outside a certain area. And what happens, of course, is that you're shooting this for a widescreen, but there is no 16:9 VHS. So what happens is they put it out there in an open mat, which means they do not use the 185 framing. They use the area above and below the 185 where things can be intrusive that you would let go at the time because you believe it's out of the portion of the picture that's going to be used.
16 Candles has it too.
Yeah,
The VHS
Well,
release.
that's a big problem.
Yeah.
It can be a problem, and you also have to take the DP's word for things. You say, "Are we okay?" And they'll say, "Yes, we are," because there's no way to know or check it. And then you go and you edit the film, and of course you're editing it in a 185 aspect ratio. You don't see these things, and then a guy takes that and he drops that mat off of there, and he shows you. On VHS, you see the above and below of the what was thought to be an unusable picture area.
Recently, I didn't get a chance to download it, but someone got a file. It was Jurassic Park, but open mat.
Yeah.
And I saw screenshots, but I couldn't, like, too many people were downloading the file. So it's like Jurassic Park when they're first, like, talking with John Hammond, but you just see the boom mics, like, everywhere in every shot. I'm like, I want to watch that version of the movie. I once had a DP, instead of getting the boom mic in the shot, he got me, who was running boom in the shot.
Oh.
Like, he forgot, like, where I was, and he's, like, tracking with the camera with the actors, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, does he not realize I'm right here? So, like, in the shot, he pans over, and I'm just, like, smiling, and he's like, oh, shit.
Normally, they should QC that, and if they see it in a lab, they would reject it at that point, and then you go in and push in on the picture a little bit. But we didn't do our own lab work on
No,
that.
I assumed it was a matte thing. 'Cause we've noticed that a lot in our movies recently. Like, remember I Know We Did last summer? I said, like, there's that scene with her and the dad, and it's completely cropped out, so you have no idea what's going on. That was an issue with older
We were watching another
formats.
big movie recently, and you could see the entire crew in the reflection. I don't remember what we were watching, but this was like a big movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget what that was.
Yeah, you get that in cars car doors when you open
Yeah.
them, close them, or they pull.
What was
up,
it?
You got to watch it.
It's called Duel. You can see Steven Spielberg's like reflection at the phone booth. He's just like there. So Cole, this is the twist of the film. Cole, who was a prisoner who put space slugs in people, he's actually the bad guy.
Who would have guessed it?
Who would have guessed it? Because like I think it's framed.
Well,
that
now if you saw the film before they sent us out
yeah.
to shoot the space stuff with him escaping, it might not have been as obvious because it's 2 movies.
Yeah.
There's a 6-day movie that has no outer space scenes with Jan Michael Vincent or Cole escaping or anything. That's simply about these kids hitting this guy and then somebody.
And it would have worked better.
I think it would have worked better that way, too.
And now you've got a second movie being edited into this movie, which it starts giving away stuff and kind of makes the people in the other film look like idiots.
Yeah, it doesn't help that like it's like, oh, is he the bad guy? And then you cut to like someone who's clearly trying to help him. Like, you should let that guy go. It's like, oh.
But that's part of the charm of the movie as well, because it is 2 different. It's again, like we were talking about Dracula versus Frankenstein earlier today, where it's a biker movie and a monster movie that are just sewn together.
Who's that one director who did it all the time? Was it
Al Adamson?
Or was it
Al Adams? Godfrey Ho.
He would make 2 versions of his movies, and like America would get the one with all the American actors, but then foreign ones would get. Like there was one that was like
Kirby was in all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was one that was about like it was like a crime drama in America. But when you watch it in other countries, there was a subplot about a giant snake attacking the city. And like they're clearly 2 different movies, and one character from the movie calls the other one like, how's your giant snake
But he
problem?
says it
It's like,
on a
what is going on?
He says it on a Garfield phone, but he's supposed to be a secret agent and he's talking on a Garfield phone. Yeah, that was Pierre Kirby.
You know they still find Garfield phones washed up. You ever hear about that story? There was a shipment of Garfield phones in a cargo ship, and it like crashed into the ocean. And to this day, they're still finding it, but now like finding just Garfield phones in the ocean, but they're using it to track like ocean currents over decades because they're like, okay, well now it's here. Now we know.
If it's like a Planet of the Apes situation in the future, we worship the Garfield phone.
Anyway, Cole turns into what was the character's name? He turns into one of the guys.
Yeah, he turns into the 40-year-old teenager.
Yes,
Yeah.
the 40-year-old teenager.
But I like how he keeps coming to him and
Wait,
like,
they could have been were they supposed to be teens, or could they have just been 40-year-olds just reliving
I
their
don't think
youth?
they were supposed to be teenagers.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it was just like kind of a Scooby-Doo-ish kind of thing.
Can adults just not hang out in the woods, Newt?
I want to do it all the time, but you never want to come with me.
Yeah, I don't want to do it with you. But yeah, so then he's the other guy, they're fighting, and then the Alienator, who they thought was dead, shows up and chops off his head. Which I thought was pretty awesome. And I love that the head turns into Cole's head.
Yeah.
And he's back to having asthma. He's like, ah! And then, of course, turns out he's that guy's son. He pulls out a lightsaber.
What a twist. And then he jams it through
Whose
him.
idea was it that, I'm sorry, whose idea was it for the saber made of light? Because we have to be legally distinctive.
I don't know.
Somebody.
I don't know.
Did no one on set be like, hey, I think someone might own this?
You know, I'm not sure that I'm not sure that we thought there was going to be a big long beam or anything
Yeah.
on there when they were struggling over it, because that was done later.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what they thought it was.
I do
gonna
like,
be.
unlike Star Wars, you were able to show how gory it was, like punching
Oh,
through
yeah.
the chest.
Yeah.
Disney doesn't have the balls to do that.
Yeah. And
Well,
then
we didn't have any legal troubles with
Yeah.
the show. We never had a problem with it.
Oh, really?
No. No, the only film we ever had a problem with it was a movie called Droid Gunner
Okay.
with Mark Singer and Matthias
The
Hughes.
Beastmaster?
I love the Beastmaster.
Matthias Hughes and they said the people came and said you can't use the word droid. George Lucas owns it, so they called it Cyberzone. Roger Corman's called it Cyberzone.
You can say android, but yeah, you can't say droid. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Kiss my ass.
Shh, Kathleen Kennedy's not going to call us back.
We're trying to pitch an awful Star Wars reboot. Come on, man. Don't say that.
Fuckers.
I have an idea for a Star Wars movie. It's about how men are bad. I think she's going to go for it. But yeah, there's a great twist. The bad guys who are called, I think, the Great Tyrants. They're actually the good guys. Should rethink their name. The Alienator gives them gold at the end. What'd she give them?
Some kind of rocks, some kind of gems or something.
Okay. Because, yeah, they're like, okay, thanks. You just had that on you?
Yeah.
And she goes back to space.
In a little ball. And they go, do you think she'll be back? And one day, there needs to be an Alienator 2.
Fred, come on, man.
Let me tell you something. They came in, they paid us $15,000 to sign off so they could make Alienator 2.
Really?
What happened to it?
I took the money and they never made the movie, so
Jackasses!
it was a win-win.
All right, so they didn't make Alienator 2. Can we make Alienator 3, even if there isn't a 2? Can we just do Alienator 3?
Alienator Insurrection.
Alienator 3, the search for Alienator 2. It's like the search for Spock.
We'll just mention, be like, man, can you believe what happened to the Alienator last time? Anyway, we're here now.
Well, Robert Rodriguez's Once Upon a Time in Mexico is a sequel to a movie that never
doesn't
happened.
exist and they flash back to. Anyway, great pick for underrated alien movie.
Yeah.
God damn, thank you.
You know, what turned out, what we thought was just going to be a topic of underrated movies just happened to turn out into
A
a
whole
review
episode.
of your film. It's almost as if we found a clever way to cover a movie without breaking our rules, right?
You call that a review?
Well, basically, we hear that a lot. It's like, you call yourself a man. I get that a lot.
But it was great having you here.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're filming this right before we go to VHS Fest together.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope nothing goes wrong. I hope it went over really, really well. Or looking back at this, it's like, man, that's before Fred killed Newt. I don't know.
With his bare hands. We pulled out the Steven Seagal energy drink because we know you directed Steven Seagal a couple times. We drank it in another episode one time, and I think my my liver left.
Yeah, it didn't taste good. It didn't taste
Same
good
thing
at all.
happened to him, I think.
Yeah.
So what?
Does he have a person who like puts the paint on his hair? Like,
Not that I saw.
What
no.
was harder, directing that deer or directing Steven Seagal?
Well, the deer was a piece of cake. Steven Seagal was not a problem for me. People say that all the time.
Yeah.
They say they heard this, they heard that.
Yeah.
We got on fine.
I talked to one guy who said he saw him just punch a dude in the face walking to another set for no reason.
sometimes you gotta punch people in the face when you're.
I guess you got to keep him in line. But like that's a weird way
Guess
to
it
bet
depends
your-
on what the day's like.
Yeah. Every day I want to punch Tony, but I'm not popular enough yet.
Fred, I do a thing. I have a Godzilla podcast, and we do a segment called "What Did That Dick Leonard Moulton Think?" And I would like to use it for this. So this is what did that Dick Leonard Moulton think of Alienator? Let me see. Directed Fred Olen Ray. A cruel alien prison warden sends unstoppable Amazonian hunter unit Tegan after fugitive Hagen, who's crash landed on Earth. Okay sci-fi from the prolific Ray, with a great B-movie cast, but looks like two movies overlapping. You know what?
He
Well,
kind
what-
of got it that time.
Well, one, he gave you praise, which I'm shocked because every time I read a review of a movie I like from Leonard Moulton, he just hates it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, I guess he picked up on that two movie thing.
But in
Anyway,
all seriousness, I have been a big fan of your work my entire life. And I go back to, I saw the Incredibly Strange Picture Show, and I've told you this multiple times, and I saw this young dude in Hollywood directing a movie with boobs and monsters, and I was like, that is what I want to do with the rest of my life. So Fred Olen Ray is responsible for the twisted mockery of a man that you see before you every day.
and you're responsible for me being like real into flight attendants.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for that. Yeah, so join us next time where we do underrated dinosaur movies and we just talk about Fred's Dinosaur Island for 2 hours.
He's like, I'm never coming back to this.
Oh my god.
Watch Dinosaur Island,
Yes.
please. It's not. They made one in 2014. It's like a kid adventure. Fuck
Oh.
that one. You want to watch Fred's Dinosaur Island with the Carnosaur dinosaurs? It's great.
Yep.
Now on DVD.
Yeah.
What? No.
So Amazon. Amazon.com.
Guess-
And MakeFlix.
Guess what we're doing on Patreon?
No, like I said, we're bringing back.
Oh.
We'll just do underrated dinosaur. We'll be like, hey, Jurassic Park 3's not that bad. Anyway, it's Dinosaur Island.
Oh yeah, you don't get to leave now.
So, Fred, where can people find you?
RetromediaDVD.com.
Okay, retromediadvd.com. Go there, check out all that stuff, and this will come out later. But if you saw us at VHS Fest, thanks for coming to VHS Fest, and we'll talk to you all later. Remember to listen to the podcast version of the show. We have a voicemail segment in the exclusive to the podcast version of Patreon. People call, they leave weird messages, and you can listen to us listen to those messages.
It's a real racket we're running here.
It's a real racket. Remember, if you mail us DVDs to sign and send back, for the love of God, include return postage so we don't get yelled at in front of another film legend again. And yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.
Talking about tapes.